Austin, October 31st, 2013. A massive flooding event cost many people their homes, some even their lives.
Oh my God! Oh my God! It's in my front door!
Out of that tragedy, an ongoing KXAN investigation, now revealing more shortcomings in the city's emergency response. Remember, we first told you about a staffing shortage at the city's 911 call center, in part to save money.
Also, long wait times for 911 callers. Some people put on hold for as long as 10 minutes.
Now, for the first time, an early draft of the Austin Fire Department's After Action Report. It's a look at what went right and what went wrong during the flood.
KXAN investigator Robert Maxwell joining us live from Onion Creek in South Austin. And Robert, what does that report show?
You know, what's important to your safety and my safety is really the most important thing that came out of the report in our view. This report shows there's no formal process for Austin Fire Department to independently, on its own, activate the Emergency Operations Center. The EOC, as it's known, is that basically a room full of people that coordinates any major emergency response. Case in point, in the report, they show that the first signs of flooding up in central Austin happened at about 10 on October 30th. The next day, the EOC activated at 5:30, about the same time when the water was about up to here in Onion Creek, and people were running for their lives, fleeing for their lives, leaving their lives behind, and in sore need of many more rescue boats.
I want you to go find something that'll float.
The draft report points out a major flood hits Austin about every 10 years. Now, senior fire department staff are calling for the city to get more rescue boats and to have more staff trained to use them. The morning of the flood, 3 inflatable boats with motors were available and used in hundreds of rescues. We're hearing for the first time, though, there were 2 other boats available that went unused for hours. One had just returned from repair and was not inflated. A second was kept at AFD maintenance shops on 51st Street. As the flood began late on October 30th, AFD staff tried to ready these 2 watercraft. They were told to stand down after an assessment the weather was moving out of the area. It didn't. The report shows both of those boats eventually made it into the rescue fleet by 6:30 the next morning. That was at the height of the rescues over 5 neighborhoods. The report also calls for using outside water rescue boats and crews. Among 7 area agencies with boats, for example, is the Texas A&M Engineering Extension Service. Seen in this YouTube training video, it has 2 boats and helicopter rescue swimmers. The report reveals the day before the flood, that A&M boat team was put on alert, but the next morning, it was never put into action. And this afternoon, about an hour or so ago, I reached out to AFD's Chief of Staff, Harry Evans, and he says, according to protocol, orders really from the city manager's office, he's not allowed to comment on this report until the final after-action report comes out, expected sometime as soon as next month. Robert, Shannon.
So, Robert, just a quick question. We know it's been 5 months since this flood. What has AFD done since then?
The most visible thing you'll see is in January, AFD redeployed its fire rescue boats, the swiftwater rescue boats, known as Zodiacs, you might be more familiar with, to separate stations around the city. They weren't a centralized location, so now they're near flood-prone areas. And the other thing they've been doing since October 2 is comprehensive training for flood rescue, including getting people out of vehicles that are stuck in floodwaters. For now, we're live in South Austin. Robert Maxwell, KXAN investigates.
Robert, thank you. The City of Austin's Parks Department also has some work to do as it develops a new plan for Onion Creek Park. They started hosting public meetings just this week with plans to have a full plan together by May of next year. You can see our previous reports on this issue with this story right now on KXAN.com.
Well, this is Flood Safety Awareness Week here in Texas, and it's a reminder to be smart. You always say, turn around, don't drown.
Exactly. We live in Flash Flood Alley. Spring begins tomorrow. That's typically our flood season. Of course, that big flood came on Halloween. They can happen any time of year. On the weather blog right now, we have information about Flood Safety Awareness Week and a whole lot of really valuable flood links. You will also find on our main weather page on KXAN.com right now our complete severe weather guide with a lot of additional flood safety information.